September 1683. Europe stood on the edge of annihilation. 150,000 Ottoman warriors surrounded Vienna, the last Christian stronghold. Outnumbered nearly 2-1, 80,000 Crusaders prepared for a battle that would decide the fate of an entire continent. For 2 months, the mighty Ottoman Empire had battered Vienna's walls with relentless cannon fire. Day and night, the defenders fought back, starving and desperate, waiting for a miracle. The city was on the brink of collapse, its people losing hope. Hunger gnawed at the city. Disease spread. Families huddled in fear as Ottoman artillery pounded their homes. Yet, amidst despair, the people clung to faith. They prayed for salvation, unaware that salvation was already on its way. Before Vienna fell, desperate messengers escaped through enemy lines, racing across mountains and rivers. Their mission: summon the mighty Polish king Jan III Sobieski and the Holy Roman Empire's armies. Time was running out. Against all odds, an alliance was forged. King Sobieski of Poland, the Holy Roman Empire, and German states agreed to march together. Though smaller in number, their unity gave them a fighting chance against the massive Ottoman host. Across rugged terrain, 80,000 soldiers marched. Their journey was perilous. Steep cliffs, harsh weather, and constant threat of Ottoman ambushes. But determination burned in their hearts. Vienna had to be saved, or all of Europe would fall. Meanwhile, the Ottoman camp stretched for miles. Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa commanded 150,000 men. He believed victory was certain. Vienna would fall, and Europe would kneel before the Sultan. But hubris blinded him to the storm that was coming. As the night before battle fell, Vienna's defenders prayed. Every man, woman, and child knew the end was near. But in the distance, faintly carried by the wind, came the sound of war horns. Hope had returned. At dawn on September 12, 1683, the hills surrounding Vienna came alive. The Crusader host had arrived. Facing impossible odds, their banners of the cross shone in the rising sun. It was the day destiny would be decided. The Crusaders struck first. German and Austrian troops clashed head-on with Ottoman infantry, steel meeting steel in a thunderous roar. The earth shook as the greatest battle of the century began. The Ottomans responded with fury. Waves of elite janissaries surged forward, their war cries echoing across the plain. Cannons roared as musket volleys tore through the Crusader lines. The defenders of Vienna braced themselves for annihilation. Inside Vienna, the walls shook with thunder. Breaches opened under relentless bombardment, and defenders rushed to plug the gaps. Every man, woman, and child was part of the fight. The city's survival balanced on a knife's edge. On the battlefield, German and Polish infantry pushed back with unrelenting determination. Pikes pierced armor, muskets roared, and banners waved defiantly. Though outnumbered, the Crusaders fought with the fury of men defending civilization itself. In his lavish command tent, Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa grew restless. Reports of Crusader resistance shocked him. He demanded total victory. Vienna must fall today. But arrogance blinded him to the danger forming on his flank. On the hills of Kahlenberg, the most feared cavalry in Europe waited, the Polish Winged Hussars. Their wings glistened in the morning sun, their lances raised high. The moment to strike was close at hand, and with it, the fate of Vienna. By midday, the battlefield was a storm of blood and iron. Neither side yielded an inch. Cannon fire shook the ground and screams filled the air. It was a struggle of endurance. Whoever broke first would lose everything. King Jan Sobieski studied the battlefield with hawk-like eyes. The Ottoman lines were stretched thin, their confidence shaken. He knew the moment had come. With one signal, he would unleash the most devastating cavalry charge in history. Trumpets blared across the hills. The Winged Hussars prepared to descend like a storm of iron and thunder. Behind them, German and Austrian cavalry readied to join. The charge that would echo through history was about to begin. From the heights, 18,000 horsemen thundered down. The earth trembled under their hooves as a tidal wave of steel and wings swept toward the Ottoman camp. Witnesses swore it was like the charge of angels sent from heaven itself. The charge smashed into the Ottoman ranks with unstoppable power. Men and horses were hurled aside as the Hussars cut a path through the enemy. The once unbreakable Ottoman lines shattered under the fury of the Christian cavalry. The unstoppable cavalry charge tore deep into the Ottoman army. Panic spread like wildfire. Soldiers abandoned their posts, horses bolted, and even the elite janissaries struggled to hold their ground against the tide of lances and sabers. From the battered walls of Vienna, defenders witnessed the miracle. The sight of the Crusader cavalry smashing through the enemy ignited cheers and tears of relief. Hope surged where despair had reigned only hours before. Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa tried desperately to regain control. He shouted commands, rallied officers, and pushed fresh troops forward. But his once mighty army was collapsing before his eyes, its spirit broken by the fury of the charge. Behind the Polish Hussars came the German and Austrian cavalry. United, they struck the Ottoman lines like a hammer against glass. The combined force ripped the enemy to shreds, driving them back step by step toward their camp. The battlefield became a slaughterhouse. Steel clashed against steel, muskets roared point blank, and screams filled the air. Men fought with tooth and nail, desperate for survival. But the momentum had shifted irreversibly against the Ottomans. As the Ottomans retreated, their camp became a death trap. Fires spread through the endless tents, ammunition exploded, and terrified soldiers trampled each other in the chaos. The once mighty Ottoman war machine was disintegrating. Realizing the battle was lost, Kara Mustafa fled with his personal guard. His grand dream of conquering Vienna and Europe was shattered. His army, once 150,000 strong, dissolved into a panicked mob of survivors. The Crusaders did not relent. Hussars and knights pursued the fleeing Ottomans, cutting them down across the plains. What began as a desperate defense had become a total rout, an overwhelming victory for the Christian alliance. By nightfall, the battle was over. The Crusaders had won against impossible odds. 80,000 soldiers had triumphed over 150,000. Vienna was saved, and with it, the heart of Europe. In Vienna, joy replaced despair. Families wept with relief, church bells rang through the night, and survivors embraced their liberators. The city had been moments from destruction, but courage and unity had brought salvation. As dawn broke, the battlefield lay silent, except for the cries of the wounded. Thousands of Ottoman soldiers lay dead, their weapons abandoned. The Crusaders, too, mourned their fallen, but victory had been won at a terrible cost. The Ottoman camp, once a city of war, became a treasure trove. Crusaders discovered unimaginable riches, gold, jewels, silks, and supplies enough to feed armies for months. The scale of Ottoman wealth astonished even the victors. King Jan Sobieski rode into Vienna as a savior. The people hailed him with cheers and tears, calling him the defender of Christendom. His leadership and courage had turned the tide of history. In Istanbul, news of the defeat shocked the Sultan. Kara Mustafa was blamed for arrogance and failure. Stripped of honor, he met a grim fate, executed by strangulation with a silk cord, the punishment reserved for disgraced viziers. The victory at Vienna inspired a new spirit of unity among European states. Once divided, they now realized that only by standing together could they resist the Ottoman advance. The balance of power in Europe began to shift. The Battle of Vienna marked the end of Ottoman expansion into Europe. For centuries, the empire had seemed unstoppable, but now its power began to wane, while the Christian alliance grew stronger with each passing year. In the aftermath, the Holy League was born, a powerful alliance of Poland, Austria, Venice, and the papacy. United by faith and victory, they launched a counter-offensive that would drive the Ottomans back across Europe. From Vienna onward, the tide of war changed. The once invincible Ottoman armies were forced onto the defensive. Fortresses that had seemed unbreakable fell, one by one, and the dream of conquering Europe faded forever. Vienna rose from the ashes as a symbol of resilience. Its people rebuilt their homes, its walls were repaired, and the city became a beacon of hope for all of Europe. The memory of salvation would echo for generations. The Winged Hussars became legends. Their thunderous charge was remembered as the largest and most decisive cavalry attack in history. To this day, their courage and glory remain a symbol of strength, unity, and defiance against impossible odds. News of the victory spread like wildfire. Across Europe, church bells rang, kings rejoiced, and commoners celebrated. The seemingly unstoppable Ottoman tide had been broken, and the world knew it owed salvation to Vienna. In Rome, Pope Innocent XI declared the victory a miracle. He hailed Sobieski as the champion of Christendom. Churches filled with prayers of thanksgiving as faith and relief swept across the continent. In the Ottoman heartlands, disbelief reigned. For centuries, their empire had expanded without resistance. Now, for the first time, they had been crushed in a decisive battle. The aura of invincibility was gone forever. The victory reshaped Europe. The Ottoman Empire's expansion was halted, and the balance of power shifted toward the Christian states. From this moment on, Europe would rise stronger and more united. Jan Sobieski wrote triumphantly to the Pope, "We came, we saw, God conquered." His words echoed through history, capturing the divine scale of the moment and forever sealing his place among the great warrior kings. The Battle of Vienna taught Europe a powerful lesson. Divided, they were weak, but united, they could withstand any storm. This spirit of unity would guide the continent through centuries of struggle and survival. The charge of the Winged Hussars became legend. Artists painted it, poets sang of it, and generations told the tale. It was not merely a battle, it was a story of courage, faith, and the triumph of hope against despair. Vienna was the turning point, the end of Ottoman dominance in Europe. What followed was the slow retreat of an empire and the rise of a new European age that would shape the destiny of the world. Vienna rose again, stronger than before. Its people rebuilt their city into a thriving center of culture, music, and learning. From the ashes of war, a beacon of civilization shone brighter than ever. Though centuries have passed, the legacy of 1683 endures. The day 80,000 Crusaders destroyed an army nearly twice their size remains one of history's greatest miracles. A reminder that courage and unity can change the fate of nations forever.